Hello everyone and welcome to this week's video. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to run a script directly from an After Effects general plugin. This means that we'll be able to create a menu item like this. For example, I created file execute script, and with that we can execute whatever code we want. In this case, I've just created a test composition with some preset dimensions, and we'll be able to both run a script from this menu command, and we'll also be able to embed that script within the plugin itself to better protect it. And this can be super useful for all sorts of reasons, from missing compatibilities in AEGP, missing features in general with After Effects plugins, or if you just want to have this sort of useful hybrid plugin. There's a lot of different ways you can hybridize extensions, plugins, and scripts, and today is going to be one of those to teach you a little bit more about the complexities of making plugins and scripts or hybrid tools. All the source code will be available in the description in the GitHub link under execute script-plugin, all of the source CPP, H files, and all that. It's not a ton of code, but in case if you want to just take these and overwrite your easy cheese or other AEGP templates, then this will make it super easy for you. But without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump into the meat and how to do this. So all we need to do is look inside of our main CPP file. Inside of here, we're going to have all of the useful stuff that we need, which is just going to be a few general lines of code that will allow us to do this. There can be some pre-setup to get your script ready for this process, but we'll go over all that in just a sec. In our update menu hook, just as a reminder, we have our command enabled. By default, we're just enabling it. We're not having any checks to see if a layer is selected or anything like that. We're just going to have the command enabled from the start. In our entry point, we're just defining our execute script in the file menu, and we're inserting it at the bottom. As you can see, it's right here at the very bottom of our file menu. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, an After Effects general plugin, you can check out this tutorial here to see how to make that yourself, how to take the template and create your own menu in After Effects. So that's all the good setup we got there. We got the name of the plugin, where it's going to be located, and now really it's just a simple 2 lines of code that's going to allow us to do this. Inside of our command hook, which is where we always execute this kind of stuff, the first thing we're going to do is define a string, a simple C++ string which contains our script inside of it. We're going to use this R literal string, which I believe is a remnant from C. But we're going to use this to basically indicate that, hey, this is a straight up string. It's going to have all kinds of characters in it, and this will make sure it's in the right format. So if we wanted to, by default, this is just going to be empty. It's just going to be R, double quotations, parentheses, double quotations, end. And then inside of here, you can put whatever code you want. So you could literally just say alert, and in this case, we now have a script embedded in here. Now, all we have to do is run this super useful After Effects general plugin method inside of the utility suite called execute script. If I go ahead and launch the SDK here, we can type in execute script, and this will take us to the actual page where it describes it. You can see there is actually a couple of other things to check out scripts and stuff inside of these kind of plugins. We have AEGP is scripting available. This will just tell us if we actually have access to it. I don't know in what kind of case you wouldn't have access to scripting, but this could be useful just to have another check. But the main thing we have here is our AEGP execute script. Have After Effects execute a script. The script passed in can either be UTF-8 or the current application encoding if the platform underscore encoding B is passed in as true. The 2 out arguments are optional, and the value of that last line in the script is what is passed back in the out result pointer. So basically what that's saying is all we have to do is provide it with a string to run it, but we also have the option to get data back. I haven't really gone into too much depth onto mem handles and that sort of thing, so it's kind of out of the scope of this tutorial. But if you want to take this concept and go the next level and check out these last 2 arguments, the out result and the out error string, you can surely do that. But in my case, I'm not running any experimental scripts or anything that I need a return from, which you can do with these out results and out strings. We're just going to be running the script. So all we need to do is provide it with our plugin ID, which is included with pretty much any After Effects general plugin we have. We're going to have a constant char, which represents our script, and a boolean representing the platform encoding. And then of course you have the optional AEGP mem handles if you want to go that far. So in this case, we have my ID as the first argument, which is again always defined like globally in your plugin, as you can see here. And then on the global setup, of course, it's set. Then we are simply grabbing our string. Now, as you noticed, in here it said we need to provide a constant char. So to do that, we simply take any string and we say dot c underscore string. Because obviously, in this case, it needs to be converted, and the suitable way to do that is dot c underscore str. And then after that, again, we have the encoding, which we're going to set to true, and then null null for the return and the error callbacks. And then this is just something random that I have from previous testing. You'll also notice I did also include these commented in the template code. We have AEGP start undergroup and AEGP end undergroup. A little Easter egg if you want to. You can create your own AEGP start groups and then run scripts, and then you probably don't want to have undergroups within those scripts itself, but this gives you a little more control in case if you're having issues with the undergroups in your script while executing them from a menu. So again, just as a reminder, we have our ID and our string. All we really need is the string, and once we have this template, we can just insert anything into there that we want. If you have a longer script, you may want to use a minifier. This will allow you to both sort of protect your code a little bit from easy reading and also make it into a single line, which we can then paste into our plugin. In this case, we're going to start with alert hello. We'll go ahead and save it and run this and see if we can get the result to just alert hello when we click on the execute script menu icon. All right, we'll go to file, execute script, and it has an expected end parentheses. And that is true. We are missing the end parentheses there. Maybe we'll add that as well, add the semicolon, and we'll restart this. And of course, you do want to be careful of having double quotes on double quotes or single quotes and single quotes, which usually isn't too big of a problem, but the more complex your scripts get, the more this might be a problem. And now, as we run our script from our menu command, we get alert hello. Now, obviously, that's not the most advanced thing we can do. Let's go ahead and just write a quick multi-line script and break it down. First thing we're going to do is create, actually, I'll just take the code I had from before, which was to add a comp, and I'm going to make it a little more complicated. So I have this code here. We're basically just adding a composition. Ooh, that chained it together, added and opened it. Interesting. All right, so we're going to say, we're going to add a comp. We can just say var comp is equal to app.project.items.addComp. We're going to add it with these basic dimensions. Then we're going to open up the active composition. No, we want to open up comp in a viewer. Then let's go ahead and add a couple layers. So let's just say for var I is equal to 0, or we can just do a simple one. I is less than or equal to 3, I++. And we're going to say var layer is equal to comp.layers. We're going to add some nulls just to make it simple, and the duration of those nulls will be our comp.duration. Lastly, let's just do a tiny bit of organization and call this null I. Now, this is multi-line. We don't want to put a multi-line script inside of here because, well, let's try it. You might actually be able to, now that I think about it. Let's go ahead and try it, and if it doesn't work, we're going to minify it, which I recommend anyway, having a fully easy-to-read version of your script as well as a minified version. So when I run this, we just learned something in the tutorial itself. You can have a multi-line one if you want. And as you can see, we've created a test comp with our 3 nulls. And if you want, you can use a minifier, which as you can see makes this a super short bit of code and will optimize everything heavily. But if you want, you could probably paste your 1,000, 2,000, or 20,000 lines of code into here and have it work just as well. I'm not going to do that just for privacy purposes and not reveal source code of some actual products I'm working on. But you can do a single line of code which is minified, or just paste the whole thing between your literal R string or your literal R here inside of the parentheses. And then simply call execute script and convert that string to a constant char using c_str, and that will basically do everything you need to run a script from within an After Effects general plugin. And let me know if you enjoy this kind of tutorial by leaving the thumbs up button or a comment down below of what other kinds of tutorials you guys want to see. There's a lot of little things like this that I've never gone over before. I've taught how to make scripts, plugins, extensions, but I haven't really discussed how you can combine them to do things that aren't possible before, or how to create unique solutions, or to some people to reveal how big time products do things. There's a lot of plugins out there that use this kind of execute script to launch Windows up, to do verification and registration, and all kinds of things like that. And there's all kinds of these combinations of running scripts from a plugin, communicating between a plugin and a CEP extension, and all kinds of things like that that can make workflows that previously weren't possible, as well as just allow for some cool features and functionalities inside of After Effects. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up button again down below, leave a comment, and of course, subscribe. That's been this tutorial on how to run a script from an After Effects General plugin. We'll see you guys next time.